I'm probably going to catch a lot of fire for this video, but here we are. Hey y'all, it's Ashley Bookishrealm. I'm back with another video. I have thought long and hard about making this video and thinking about making it in a way that is not going to make people upset, but also give myself a space to express myself. And if people get upset, then people get upset. I needed to make this video, and some of the things I think y'all have heard me talk about before, but a couple of things maybe a little bit on the newer side. I think I've talked about a lot of this stuff in like live shows, but never really, some of it in a sit down video, but not all of it. So as you can see, I have these glasses. It's been so long since I've worn glasses, but Zenith kindly asked me if I would like to try out a pair of their glasses. This video isn't sponsored or anything like that, but they did send me a pair of glasses to kind of just showcase, which these are the clear frames, which these are prescription because I cannot see a thing. Like nothing, like nada. So thank you so much to them for sending me a pair. I will leave the link down below so you can actually check out the frames that I have, which I have loved, which a lot of people have loved. They just work very well for my face, and I'm glad that I have them. Also, I will leave a link down below if you're interested in checking out their website. They actually gave me a code for y'all to use where you can get 50% off of frames and 10% off of lenses by using the code REALM. So I'll make sure that I link both the link to the ones that I'm wearing and also to the website with the discounts and stuff down in the description box below. So I just wanted to mention that just in case you had questions about the new specs. So as you can see by the title of this video, we're here to talk a little bit about things that frustrate me about the book community. And I want to start this off on a positive note. I love the friendships and the sense of community that I have in some ways in the book community, or else I wouldn't continue making content. I enjoy y'all as viewers. I really appreciate the love and respect that I think I get a lot of times in this community. I adore that. I appreciate it. I respect it, and it humbles me a lot because it's an opportunity that a lot of people don't necessarily get. So I want to preface that by starting this. But like all communities, and in every community, there are aspects that you're going to struggle with, whatever community you may be a part of, whether that's being a part of the booktube community, makeup community, gaming community, whatever. There's things that are probably going to frustrate you, and that's exactly what this is. This is not to make the booktube community or the book community, because I don't even say booktube, like this can include book Twitter, bookstagram, book talk, whatever, the whole nine. I think that it is all inclusive, and very much so the internet book community, because I can't speak for the larger book community that exists. This is just based on my personal interactions, and a lot of the things that I'm going to comment on, it's not blanket. This is not everyone that is doing these things. These are things that I have noticed since I have been here. If you're new here, or if you're not new here, you know, just in case you need a reminder, I've been in this community for a long time. I've been here since 2014, particularly in the booktube community, so I've seen a lot of evolution and changes in the time that I have spent here, and so there are things that just haven't changed, and I don't think they will ever change, but they frustrate me, and so it makes me kind of weary, and it makes sometimes my experience here quite difficult. So we're going to go ahead and jump in. It's about 6 different things, and so I want to give as much time to myself to explain it without making this video extremely long and winded, because y'all know how I can get. I talk a lot. I talk a whole lot. Yeah, we know this. If you've been here, you know I talk a lot. Okay, so the first thing that I have here is what I am going to talk about in terms of cultural appropriation. I cannot speak for any other community except the one that I am a part of, the culture that I'm a part of, which is Black culture. And I made a video about this a year ago, and so I'm not going to reiterate everything that I have said in the video, but it's just fascinating still seeing stuff happen a year later and knowing that you have talked about this stuff time and time again, and it appears a year later. I had made a tweet at some point before this video has gone up, and it was about the fact that I I'm still tired of seeing non-Black booktubers use AAVE. And, you know, it's different, I think, when we talk about in the grand scheme of things that there is an exchange of languages that happen. People are going to use it and it's seeped its way into pop culture. But there's a lack of respect that comes with using AAVE when you don't know the history and how it's impacted the Black community and how Black people have been viewed because of their use of AAVE. I think Mina Reads, who, if you don't know Mina, I definitely highly recommend checking out Mina's channel. A lot of great content. Mina made a Instagram reel. I think it was a reel. I know it was also on Twitter, but Mina made an Instagram reel talking about the use of people saying they want a book list or they have a book list for Hot Girl Summer and not including any books by Black authors. Y'all, you literally can, like, you shouldn't be doing that. Like, how are you making a list of Hot Girl Summer books recommendations and not one book is by a Black author? Mina definitely had a better explanation and a much better presentation than I ever could. And so if I can find some way to link that reel, if not, I can just link Mina's Instagram as well. I highly recommend checking out that reel because it is super important to realize that some people in this community profit off of using terminology that is a part of Black culture and don't recognize the contributions that the Black community has made to the book community. And it is very aggravating and frustrating to watch. If you're going to make, like Mina has stated, if you're going to make a Hot Girl Summer book list, you should have some Black authors on that list. It's aggravating to see white creators in particular, because I see it mostly amongst white creators. It is frustrating to see white creators use AAVE, not read not a single Black book in their repertoire. None whatsoever. It's very, very frustrating. It's almost like you're using AAVE as a means to have clout and to profit off of. And so for me, it's very, very hard to reckon with that. And I don't know if I ever will reckon with that completely. The next thing is something that I have talked about quite a bit, and I've made several videos about it. I think sometimes the book community has a inability to keep up with any type of social activism, social awareness. Some people are awesome at it and realize, like, okay, I need to be incorporating this into my reading. I need to be incorporating this into my reading. But some people just can't get it through their heads. And so it lasts for all of 6 months. And then we go back to doing whatever we were doing before. And for the communities that are impacted, that go through whatever struggle they may be going through, and then having people use that as a means to all of a sudden read diversely and then 6 months later revert back to what they've always been doing, it's a slap in the face and it's aggravating. It's like we take a mantle up when something has gone wrong, and then as soon as it's no longer, you know, the thing to talk about, or we're no longer afraid of being canceled for not speaking out about it, then we just go back to our regular scheduled programs, whereas that community does not have that luxury and that privilege to do so. And so for me, it's like, be very aware of how you are trying to take up a mantle and broaden your horizons with reading, only to fall back to doing what is comfortable for you. I would rather you just be upfront and honest and clear and transparent and be real, instead of being a fraud and then, you know, good example here, you know, go back to only reading Black authors during Black History Month. It's a shame that we had all of these conversations in 2020 and here we are in 2022, like, crickets, y'all are still doing the same thing that you've always done. And this is not the first thing. This is not a new phenomenon. Like, BookTube has always been this way. And I'm going to say BookTube particularly with this because I think Bookstagram, BookTok, and stuff are a little newer than BookTube, but they will have those same issues because it's the same mentalities that you're finding across various platforms. But BookTube has always been known to do this. We talk when it's convenient to talk, and then and it's convenient to diversify our reading and to uplift said creators, and then when it's no longer convenient or it's no longer important, we go back to doing the same old. And so, like, just don't do it at all. don't waste your time, because it's not really genuine and it's very harmful, and really just it's a slap in the face to those communities. The third thing that I have on my list is going to be pretty interesting. So we have had this discussion before. I actually just had this discussion with Bethany and a group of other people talking about like reacting to unpopular opinions, and I struggle with like using like cancel as a blanket term when we really don't cancel authors. Like, it's very interesting. I'm not a huge fan of using that as a blanket term. And then also the list on Twitter. I am not a fan of those lists because those lists often do not provide context. And so it just becomes a very sticky situation where we dip into, which, you know what, this one actually is going to tie into one of the points, so this is going to be more like 5 instead of 6. We dip into like not having nuance in anything that we talk about. So coming up with a list of, oh, these authors should be canceled, and it's like, okay, what happened? You will put an author on a list that has committed sexual assault, where another author has probably made a misstep in a comment, and we're not talking like a racially driven comment, you know, having a not so friendly conversation with a reviewer. Those are not equal footing for me when it comes to authors behaving badly, sexual assault, kind of acting out of pocket on social media. Not the same thing. They're not equal by any means to me personally. So seeing things like that, it doesn't allow for a nuanced conversation about why this author possibly is just not really, you know, that great of a person. And for me, I think that canceling was not developed for what we're using it for at this point. And so it just creates this whole toxic environment, I think, to some degree, where we can't even hold people accountable for their actions, speaking of authors, because of how it's been used so like as a blanket term and so aggressively, that we can't hold authors accountable for stuff without them instantly saying, oh, I'm getting canceled. And it's like, no, you're not getting canceled. You are being held accountable for what you've done. And so I think that it's a very tricky thing to just say, we're going to cancel this author. And it's like, but are we really? And in the grand scheme of things, it's not enough of a scale for this community to really cancel anybody. Like, canceling is like the Jessica Cluess situation, where literally book deals were lost and agents dropped and publishers were like, no, we're good. Like, that's a canceling thing. A lot of people, when I say people, a lot of these authors, y'all, dip off of social media for a few months and they come back and nothing has really changed. So it's really not canceling them. And you also have to think about it in the broader scope of how big the reading community at large is outside of the scope of social media. So a lot of issues that we have in our community, it's very insular, and it doesn't often bleed out into other areas. So sometimes I'll see like conflicts that happen here where we're like, this author needs to be canceled, and the rest of the world is like, I have no idea what you're talking about. And so that's why it's very interesting that is often used as a blanket term. I'm going to save one for the last, because I think this was the one is probably the one where I'm going to get like a tad bit, just a little bit more emotional than the other one. I think that sometimes people in this community lack true empathy. And I'm speaking about a personal experience that I have. I'm not going to assign that lack of empathy label to everyone. And this, nothing that I've said is assigned to everyone in this community. This is stuff that I have seen. And this one with the lack of empathy is something that I have come across recently. If people tell you that something that you have said, or something that you have done, or something that you're promoting is insensitive, it makes people feel uncomfortable, and it makes people feel unsafe, it is then not your job to say, oh, I'm sorry, but, and then double down. To me, that feels very wrong. It's an invalidation of people's feelings. I also feel like it is a disregard for how people are truly feeling, and you're not taking a moment to put yourself in their shoes. Regardless of how you may feel about it in the moment, you're allowed to have your feelings too. But I think that when people say, this hurts my feelings, or I don't feel comfortable, or it just makes me feel bad, or I don't know how I feel about you doing said thing, it is a time to listen, not for you to say sorry so you don't get canceled, so you don't get canceled, and then turn around and double down and say, but. It's like, do you really care that people don't feel safe? Do you really care that people's feelings are hurt? If you feel like you have to double down, listen to how people feel. Take a minute and walk in their shoes. It is very difficult. Sometimes I struggle with that. And I feel like I'm an empath by nature, but I think also that there are moments when you want to get defensive because you feel like, oh, I'm getting criticized. But it's a learning opportunity, and it's a moment to say, you know, from my lived experience, I wouldn't have considered this to be offensive to me. But maybe if I thought about what it would be like to be a Black woman, maybe I could see that, like, maybe this wasn't a good choice. Take a moment and have some empathy. And I feel like sometimes people don't have that. They're quick to say sorry because they just don't want any backlash. But you really don't mean sorry. You really don't care how people feel. You don't care about someone else's experiences. You simply want to say sorry so it could get brushed under the rug, and then you could go back to doing whatever you want to do and push everything and double down on what you really truly feel and believe. Like, that to me is like, I don't want to be associated with you. I don't want to deal with you. I don't want to get to know you as a person, because if that's how you treat people who've come to you with concerns and not attacking. There's a difference, I think, you know, when someone's attacking you and somebody's like, you know, sending you death threats, people are cursing you out, like, that's a whole different ballgame. When people are genuinely coming to you and say, hey, like, this is bothering me. This is making me feel uncomfortable. Like, can you hear what I have to say? And to kind of low-key disregard that, like, that's a means of respect that I've lost for you as a person. So the empathy thing for me kind of hits kind of hard, because it was something that I have felt within like the past week or so, and I didn't realize I would take it so personally until I realized, like, I'm taking this personal. I'm taking this personally. And the last thing that I have on this list is very, very, very personal to me. I struggle sometimes with the way that this community treats its Black creators, and not everyone. Like I said, none of this is a blanket. This is not for everyone. I struggle with it a lot. I struggle sometimes with the way viewers treat Black creators as well, and I struggle with it because of what happened in 2020. There are Black creators that are thriving, and I'm happy for them because they deserve it. And it's about time that some of us thrive as much as our other counterparts, to be honest. It really is about time. I see some Black creators right now that are getting the views, that are getting the subs, and I couldn't be more proud and happier for them. I haven't told them that, and I don't know them well enough to say that, but I am. I truly, truly am. I mean that from the bottom of my heart. And so I struggle because I've been here for so long, and I've seen the way that this community treats its Black creators. I saw the way that it treated its Black creators in 2020 when you sub, and you don't watch people's content, and then now their channels are kind of paying the price for it. And some people have been able to recover from it. My channel does what my channel does. Sometimes I feel like my channel is all over the place, but that's because I'm all over the place. So it is a direct reflection of me a lot of times. But I struggle with seeing Black creators who make wonderful and creative and beautiful content. I think of Bree. I think of Chloe. Like, they just, so much great content, and there's more people, y'all. There's just the two names that just popped in my head, like literally their faces popped, and I was like, Bree and Chloe. And so, you know, I struggle with knowing that creators like them have so much great content, better content than me with the sub count that I have. And I feel like they should have more subscribers than I do. They should have better views than I do because their creativity is different. And they bring something different to the table. But I know that a lot of times, and what has happened in the past, is that this community doesn't always reward one creativity, and it doesn't reward its Black creators at all. And I don't like that Black creators have been used as a means to help people get over their feelings of guilt, particularly white guilt, and then you still end up screwing them over when it's all said and done. I hate that Black creators have to constantly tell people, like, you only read books during Black History Month. You should be reading Black authors with Black characters all year round, not just reading books that are about trauma, reading books about Black joy. Like, Black creators just have to continuously tell y'all. And it's like, but why? Why should they? Why do they not get equal treatment as their white counterparts? Why does their content not succeed? And people are like, oh, well, the algorithm. Yeah, the algorithm does play a role in it. A lot of times it does. But you also tell the algorithm what you like to watch. When you search certain things and you keep watching the same creators, particularly when you keep watching the same white creators, you're going to get pushed more white creators. It takes forever for a Black creator to show up in someone's recommended videos, because half the time they're not being watched, half the time they're not being given that platform, half the time they're not being asked to do the same thing that other creators are being asked, half the time they're not being given the same opportunities, not given the same type of pay with sponsorships. We know this, and yet the cycle continues on and on and on, and even ties back into the use of AAVE. White creators love using it. You're making money because you make money off of these videos. You're making a profit off of Black culture and can't be so bothered to pick up a book by a Black author. That's how you treat your Black, because when it's all said and done, we may not all get along, but I look at the sense that creators are like colleagues in a way. We all are working in the same business. We may not all like each other. We may talk shit about each other. We may fight with each other. But a lot of times I'm like, that's how y'all treat your colleagues, and it becomes a microcosm of our experiences truly in the workforce or in the workplace environment. It becomes just reiterating where this is supposed to be a space where people can feel safe and flourish and grow and feel like a community feels like they're worth it. I just said on the video that I shot with Bethany and the whole crew, we were talking about unpopular opinions and talking about, you know, trying to find your worth or defining your worth through BookTube. And I had made the comment that I never felt like I found validity or worth in being on BookTube. I fought so hard for BookTube to see me as being worth it. Not that I didn't think I was worth it. Not that I needed this to prove that I had self-worth, but I wanted other people, I wanted this community to see that I was worth taking a chance on, that I had the ability to produce content that was worth checking out, that was worth investing in. And time again, I felt like I got to the point where it was like, well, maybe I'm not as worth it as I thought I was. I begged people in 2020, please don't sub to my please don't sub to my channel, y'all, because I knew what was coming and people did it anyway. And part of me regrets ever making that video, to be honest with you. Part of me really does regret making that video, because I feel like if I would have just not said anything and just kept quiet, like, I wouldn't be fighting this uphill battle with like how I deal with an excessive amount of people who don't necessarily always watch my channel. And I deal with it because it is part of life, and I'm appreciative of the people who do stick around and do watch my channel. Like, all of you who comment, who give me love, who show me support, I'm forever grateful and indebted to you, because there are some of y'all who have been with me since the beginning, and those of you who have just joined, you know, you're here for the content. You show me so much love and support that this is why I keep going in spite of. because I feel like I give you something that you enjoy and you value that, and I value you. So that's what keeps, even though it's like it's frustrating being a Black creator in this community. It really is. And I know it's frustrating on Bookstagram because I see it all the time. I'm not as active. I'm active, but not as active as some Black Bookstagrammers. I know it happens on Book Talk. It happens on BookTok. Like, it's hard and frustrating being a Black creator in this community. It's frustrating being a Black creator in general, and I never understood that until I became a part of this community, and now like I really get the gist of it. But for me, my solace has been really appreciating and wrapping myself into the people who are here. But I can't lie and say that it doesn't eat at you, and you don't feel like, damn, like geez, like y'all just don't care sometimes, and it's very frustrating. So I'm not going to keep going on that because I could go on and on about that, and I've taught a million times over about what it's like to be a Black creator in this community. But I just wanted to let y'all know that these are some things that do frustrate me, and these are some things sometimes that have really made me question, like, do you really want to stay? And then I put a video up, and regardless of how it does in views, a lot of y'all show up and show out, and so it means a lot to me, and I don't want to get emotional but it really does mean a lot to me, because in spite of all this stuff, and in spite of me saying here, like, you know, this stuff frustrates me, I feel like the friends that I have made here and y'all as viewers have really just made me feel like, you know, it doesn't matter if the community at large feels like you're worth it, like we feel like you're worth it, and we're here to support you, and we like the content that you make, and just, you know, keep going, keep doing the thing, keep doing this. And so I've created my own space. I've created my own, you know, safe corner, and I've gotten to a place now where, like, I don't want to deal with all the frustrations that come with being a part of this community, and you just kind of want to do what you want to do. And so I've been taking that philosophy for, you know, this past year, and it's been going well, and I've enjoyed it. But I just wanted to share those things because it's just been on my mind lately, and I'm like, it's so cyclical. These are the things that I see all the time, and it's so frustrating. But maybe one day it will change. It hasn't changed in over 6 years, but been in this community for 8 years now, and so maybe one day, maybe when, you know, I'm here for 10 years, it will have made a difference, but I don't know. All right, y'all, let me know if there's some things that frustrate you about the book community down in the description box below. As always, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more content from me, click the subscribe button and hit the bell for notifications. I'll be back with another video soon. Bye.